DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with Wedding Chat with Dave Ternier and Jeremy Brech.
Hey, everybody. Dave, welcome back.
I'm back.
Sorry, I'm not even actually looking at your video. There you are. I was so before we got on the call, or before we got on the video here, I can't even, I'm so blank right now.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Wedding Chat with Dave Ternier. That's me at djthought.com, the guy that pencils all those silly words online. And that's Jeremy, my wonderfully confused friend, who's not normally confused. He's pretty brilliant most of the time. Shop time and a whole bunch of other things. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm doing good. So I do remember what I was going to say, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
But yeah. How was your last week? I know you had a lot going on. You guys were, again, we talked about how you were taking over the world. How's that going? We'll get to that.
Yeah, kudos to you and John. I was able to catch not all, but most of last week's show. Thank you, John, for filling in. I was, what was I? I was on an airplane, I believe, at the time you guys went live. So, yeah, I was out east, which in my world, that refers to Ontario for folks who aren't from Canada. And yeah, just involved with a bunch of CPDGA stuff. We had our first national AGM, which was fun. Started off nice and small, which is good because that's where you want to make the mistakes before it gets big, right?
Yeah.
A few new board members voted in. Congratulations to Jim Bird. And tonight might know a guy named Brian Pudwerney. He was voted in as a new board member for the association. So
awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I could talk to you for an hour about what happened last week, Jer. Honestly, it was such a great week.
How about you take 2 minutes and tell us?
2 minutes? Oh, God. So Cole's notes. I basically, much like every DJ show, I made sure I was having lunch and dinner and coffee with somebody different every single day. They were very busy days. To bed at midnight, 1 a.m., up at 6:37 to get to the next thing. It was a good busy couple of days. We basically did our AGM on the Sunday, had executive meetings on the the Monday, and then on Tuesday, where was that Tuesday, Jer?
I have no idea.
Gosh, Tuesday. Met up with Debbie Russell, helping us out from a software point of view for the association. And then Wednesday actually took a trip, not quite down to Niagara Falls, but down to St. Catharines, which is just north of Niagara Falls, and had lunch there with a pile of great guys in the St. Catharines, Niagara region. And it was really just wonderful. We got to share a few neat announcements, which you and John, again, thanks so much. You guys shared on last week's show, which was the CPDGA and DJAA in Australia, New Zealand, and NADJ in the UK. An informal kind of working relationship. Just, I saw, you joked last week, how are these guys going to get together? Like, how frequently are they meeting? Basically, it works like this. Those of us here in Canada, we meet at 5 or 6 in the morning, which means that the guys we meet with in the UK are middle of the day, and that means the folks in Australia are mid to late evening. So it works out.
Of the next day.
No, of the current day, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay. So when you guys say we're meeting on Thursday, you're actually all meeting on Thursday.
Provided us Canadians get up early enough, yes. So anyway, people might be going, what are you guys talking about? The CPDGA and the other two associations, we have some executive level members that have committed to meeting quarterly now just to share ideas between our three associations. The common bond that we all carry is that we're all nonprofits or not-for-profits. And, we're just trying to make something happen for our people. So, we're just going to hopefully accelerate all of our own growth in our own countries and ultimately provide a better experience for the members that we represent and try to help out. So, it was pretty fun. That was definitely one of the most exciting things that came out of last week.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So one of the things, this is what I was trying to say when we first started up here. First of all, our main topic tonight is selling talent or selling an experience as opposed to selling gear. So now segueing, what I was originally going to be saying when we got started here, John was talking about Newmark being involved as a sponsor, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's right. They just came out with the new NS6 II or 2 or whatever you want to call it, and so I'm like, I have to go check this thing out. I want to see this. And it's got some really sweet features. First of all, as a wedding DJ, I think it's important for us that we have to have 2 mic inputs. Would you agree?
I don't know how you can be a wedding DJ without.
Yeah.
There's a topic.
Yeah, this is a great board that has 2 mic inputs. And I've always been a Denon person. But the cool thing is Newmark and Denon, they are actually owned by Imbrands, right? Or music brands in music. There's a company that owns both of them. And, you start seeing a lot of similarities, but they also have their own features as well. Like they kind of have the things that make them stick out to each other or from each other. But again, the Newmark, the new NS6 II has the double mic inputs. It has your master send through RCAs, which I don't really use too much when it comes to RCA outputs.
Right.
But it would help those bedroom DJs that, just need something simple and they can plug right into a regular amplifier, like a stereo amplifier. And then it has obviously the XLR balanced outputs. Now the thing I noticed here is it's got USB 2 and it's got USB 1. Now, if this is like the Denon 7000, then I'm guessing that this thing will actually take 2 computers. You can mix between 2 computers. Now, if there's anybody listening or watching the show, please tell me if I'm right. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me whatever you have to tell me. But like I said, that's what the Denon 7000 did. And if you haven't gone, go check out Newmark's website because they have this product up. But I mean, this is a really sexy controller. It's got, like, if you look at the decks, the turntable decks on there, it has the BPMs, it has the time, it has all that, like, inside that little circle where the platter's at, and then it also shows you how much your pitch difference is, and like all inside there, all this little digital output. And one of the things, Dave, I don't know if you use this or not. What kind of board do you use?
I'm old school. I use CDs.
You don't use CDs.
I can't convince anybody of that, can I? No, I use what do I use? I use a Pioneer DDJ SX, the first one they came out with. So it's, I don't know, 3-ish years old. Someone tell me.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I never really got into were the little keypads underneath the platters where you can use
cue points.
Yeah, I'd never used those before because I always had the Denon 6000. I used the 6000 for years. And I mean, it's a really solid board. But I ended up buying the 8000. It's got the 8Q pads down below, and now I'm addicted to those things.
Oh yeah,
those are like my hook. It's like, oh man, I got to have that. I have to use this, and I know like I use virtual. I know like a lot of this is Serato as well, and you can actually change the tags on what each Q is, and you can you put this one's for the bridge, this one's for and you can color code all these things. The technology that these companies are giving us is unreal. We are so spoiled now.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
CDs anymore.
Yeah, I'm a Serato guy, which is like saying Mac or PC. But on the note of Q points, I know that's not what we're talking about tonight, everybody. But I've taken to recently labeling my Q points in relation to how many measures from that point to the next change, the next Q point.
Yeah.
So I'll maybe put like at the when I know there's 32 or 64 measures or beats left in the song, I'll put a Q point there, 32 to go, and that's what I'll name the Q point. So that way, there's no guessing, there's no more information to me, the better the mixes are down the road. So, by the way, Jer, someone on the YouTube live feed did say yes, dual laptops.
That's pretty sweet. And think about that. Knock on wood. If for some reason your laptop freezes up or something happens, boom, you can switch just like that. And of course, a Mac would never do that. But I think it's nice knowing that you have the security of a second laptop right on the spot instead of having to shut down. And
it's nice they build a controller to facilitate Windows users.
It's true. That's actually true.
And a quick shout out to everybody that's watching the live feed on YouTube. I see a whole bunch of Canadians here. Thank you, my Canadian friends. Marcus, Juicebox is here. Who else is here? David's here. I'm sure you've got some friends watching too, Jeremy. But
I'm sure my wife is watching in the house, or I don't know.
And by the way, for anybody who complained that they were commenting on the wrong feed, I have Facebook live feed up as well. So if you're commenting questions there, I will try monitoring both that and YouTube. So you see my eyes going googly from one side to the other? That'd be why.
He's all googly.
Anyway.
But yeah, there's the shout out to Newmark. I know a lot of people have been waiting for this board to come out. It is finally launched. It is available. They're shipping. I've seen posts on Facebook about this, these huge stack of boxes, like, all right, we're ready to send them out. So I know a lot of people at Atlantic City, a lot of people put in some pre-orders. And so Merry Christmas to all of you guys. The NS6 II is now ready for you.
Very cool.
But yeah,
anyway,
so we were going to talk about, not selling gear and selling an experience, selling everything but gear.
And as well, Carlos, if you're watching, I'm going to butcher your last name, Carlos. We're going to leave it at that. Carlos, my man in Florida, he also wanted to know if we could chat about what exactly takes place in our first consultations. So I think that kind of blends really well with this topic today. So,
cool.
I guess first things first, Jared, do you require an in-person consult if a bride can get a hold of you? If they call you up and say, hey, you're that much money? Perfect. Can I book you? Do you say yes, or do you say, whoa, hold the bus?
That's a great question. And the reason I say that is because we have a multi-op team.
Right.
And our goal is to connect the right personality with the right individual. We've had that a lot of times where they will actually, hey, we're on your website, and this guy's in our price range. And I think I mentioned this before. There's times where, they'll say, we want to buy this package. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, well, tell me a little bit about what you're looking for your wedding, things like that. And the next thing you know, it's like, okay, I know you wanted that package, but I'm actually going to tell you to step down one level to a lower priced package, because to me, that entertainer's a better fit. And I think that it shows a lot of value, the fact that we actually care about the client more than we do about the extra couple $100 that, we're giving up. So, and there are times where I actually had a phone call on Monday where a couple, or actually a bride and her mom, called and she said, hey, you know, we were on your website. We've seen this DJ before and we watched his video. And, you know, I love the part where he talks about this, this, and this. And we watched everybody's video.
Wow.
But that's the guy we want. And at that point, I'm like, you know what? Done deal. Sold. If they did the homework and they've seen this individual before, they went and watched his video. They understand who he is as a person,
right?
How he interacts with people. They've seen that. I don't need to sell it anymore because he's already done that. So in certain cases, no, I don't tell them you have to sit down with us. But do I prefer it? Absolutely. I always prefer to sit down with somebody.
Got it. So we'll get to what exactly that sit down looks like right away for everybody watching. My process, and this is the lovely part where Jer and I are different because Jer runs a multi and I'm just me. You know, you're looking at my company right here. I require that sit down, and for a variety of reasons. But the reason that I share with my couple is, and this is true story, and I think we shared this on here once before. Apologies if this is a repeat, but I once worked with a couple where money was no object. Dave Ternier was just the guy to have. And it was the most miserable experience of my life because they weren't invested into the process, into what had to happen with me in order to create their event. Everything was just like, Dave, just make it happen. Just do your thing. And I'm like, this is not my wedding. What the hell?
Yeah.
So I do require that in-person consult. And also, I mean, I sell what I do at, you know, a lot higher dollars than most people. So I want people to get what it is that they're getting if they book me, and you know, and in person or doing it through video chat, just like you and I are communicating right now tonight, is the other way I do it. So in that first consult, assuming they haven't booked you over the phone, Jer, what happens? What do you guys talk about? How long is the consult? Roughly, what do you talk about in the time? You know, what's the first third, the second third, the final third look like? Can you give any idea?
I would say, okay. And to back up a little bit too, you know, I treat myself as a single op. Like I treat myself as myself. So if someone says, Jeremy, we want to book you, I'm the same way. I will say, okay, I would like to sit down with you. Especially if someone says, we want you to officiate the wedding as well. It's like, okay,
right.
Really need to sit down then.
Right.
Because I don't even know what your status is for religion. I don't know what exactly you're looking for, but I also treat the reception that way too. I don't know exactly what you're looking for. Yeah, you've heard my name. You feel that I'm the best fit for you, but I need to make sure that you're the best fit for me as well. And I think that's kind of the point that you were making.
Right.
So in the first consultation, I would say it's all about getting to know the couple. And there's times where after I'm done asking the questions of, you know, tell me a little bit about you, tell me about your wedding party, tell me about your family, where are all your guests coming from, you know, all these different things. And then you start getting into not so much of the personal level, but now you start getting into more of the questions about the wedding reception. And I think it's important to gather the information about who they are first, because who they are as a couple or who they are as an individual and their vision for their wedding could be two different complete things. So if they say, well, we want elegant and extravagant, well, you guys aren't elegant and extravagant people. You know, are you doing this to try to impress people, or are you doing this because that's who you want to be, or that's
right.
who you so I would say the ending process to all of that is we're actually doing the interview. We're interviewing the client. They're not interviewing us to make sure that we're the best fit for them. We're interviewing them to make sure that they're the best fit for us.
Now that's a very interesting point you bring up.
Yeah. Same thing for you.
There's as much of that going on, if not more, than the other way around. Yeah, absolutely. And I so much as tell my couples at the end that that's kind of what was happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Finish off with saying, you know, you guys are somebody who would, you know, if they truly honestly do, if I want to work with them, I will finish off by saying, you know, I think you're both wonderful. I really think that we could probably create something wonderful together. So by all means, you know, if this is something you decide on, if bringing me on is something you decide on doing, then I'm all in. So I will communicate that to them in a way. It's funny that Carlos asks us to talk about this question, because last week when I was out in Ontario, Derek Johnston, who's one of our regional team leaders out that way, he had me come and speak to his group one night, his region's group. There was a networking night on, and we spoke about this, and it forced me to think about it a little bit ahead of tonight. I don't know if this breaks down for you at all, Jer, but I mean, for me, a consult is anywhere from 90 minutes to 2 hours in length. Mm-hmm. And I would say the first 30 minutes of it maybe has zero to do with wedding. And if the word wedding comes up, I will left turn obviously away from it. I will divert absolutely, because like you said, the first bit's getting to know them and allowing them to get to know me, and looking for mutual ground that we might have. If I ask them, so what do you guys do on your days off? Like when you're not, yada, 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 or, if they like to travel, I might reciprocate with a travel story of my own. I'm looking for points of commonality that I have with them, so that when we start talking wedding, the relationship between myself and them has evolved way further past any other DJ that would have met with.
Right. Now, here's the thing. And this is something that Mitch Taylor teaches in his workshop, is basically opening up with, here's who I am. And then you basically tell them your story, or you tell them, I grew up here, because in his workshop, it teaches the client to open up more. I truthfully have never done that. I almost feel uncomfortable, because then it seems like, well, this is me. And I don't feel like I'm giving them the full attention. And I shouldn't say that. It's not giving them the full attention, but it's more putting it about like, this is who I am. I want you to think how cool I am. I want you to think, I mean, to me, it has to be a, tell me about you, not this is all about me. Now tell me about you. Mm-hmm. So that was the one thing, and trust me, his workshop worth every penny. I'm trying to get him here into Sioux Falls because he so much value, and not just for the DJ industry. I mean, for everybody. It doesn't matter
event professionals in general.
Yeah, well, not even event professionals. It can be anybody. I mean, it's about communication. It's about connecting. And it's a great workshop. And
shout out to our friends Vicky and Mitch, who put out the Creative Connections podcast. They're well over 100 episodes in. So if anybody here has not listened to one of those yet, take a listen. They talk about a lot of things which are kind of describes how I work, but to many people, it might be just completely mind-blowingly new stuff they've never thought of. So take a listen. On the topic of, me introducing myself, my story, the couple introducing, I always take the approach of asking questions about the couple and having them open up to me first. And I know that might sound a little counterintuitive from a sales point of view, but I know Mitch spoke about kind of an alternative way of doing that. But I know I liken it very much to meeting someone at a party, right? I don't want to be that person walking up to someone at a party going, hey, let me tell you all about me.
Yeah. And I think what it does is I love the fact that when someone's like, oh, I'd love to rock climb, then you can chime in and say, you know what, I also love to rock climb. Or I went to school at this college. Hey, so did I. Tell me a little bit about that. Here's some of the things that I used to love to do when I went to, when I went to Colorado, or some of the things, those type of things. I think then you start connecting with people, and it makes them feel more comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to me, I mean, that's a really easy approach. And so Carlos, right? That's who we're talking to.
Yeah. Carlos asked about this.
I don't know if any of this is really mattering, or if this makes sense or anything. But what Dave and I are trying to say is get to know them first. Start with that.
So, and specifically for those who are wondering, well, how do you get to know them? So and you alluded to this earlier, Jer. I probably first off, I won't even ask necessarily how they got engaged yet. Hopefully some other organic comment from them or something that will spark a conversation to go somewhere. I don't know where, but in that 30 minutes, we will talk about who are their parents. I will ask them, what do they got for siblings? Where are their siblings at? What do they do? It's funny you mentioned wedding party. I don't ask much about wedding party in that first little bit, but I will certainly ask, how long the two of them have been together, and tell me how you guys met. Like how the hell did we get sitting in this coffee shop or in this office today? Like what I want to know. Give me the nitty gritty, and I don't care how dumb of a story you guys think it is, it's going to be great. Because people are often like, oh, well, we met at yada, yada, yada. But there's always gold in there. And yeah, find out what they do. Ask them about their jobs. Their jobs is often a large talking point for me. Because look, a lot of us identify in a pretty big way with our work. So, that's often a good point of conversation. When it does get time to talking about wedding, I will ask them about, so what other vendors have you hired? And how did you find out about them? And who are these people?
Vendors or professionals?
What's that?
Vendors or professionals?
Oh, that's a topic. Tell you what, this is going to make the internet blow up. I call them vendors. I don't call them professionals for a reason.
Why? You know what? Let's save that for another show.
Dun, dun, dun.
Have that conversation.
Oh, it's funny.
I don't know if I've said the word vendor in probably 2 years.
Is that right?
Well, because most of the people that I'm working with are professional.
Okay, tell you what, we're going down this road.
No,
I'm going to say quickly. Okay. This has to do with this fact, and I'll just leave people on this. The word professional does not exist on my website for a reason. And I'll leave it at that.
All right. Well, stay tuned in 5 weeks.
We'll talk about the word professional at some point in time. But anyway, I'll talk to them about what vendors what vendors/professionals they've hired. And here's a really big thing for anybody listening. If they have hired somebody that I know firsthand, I've worked with them before, I've whatever before, I will reinforce their hiring decision. I will compliment them on it genuinely. I will often reference maybe a function or two we worked together, or, hey, I had lunch with Sabina 3 weeks ago. You booked her for your wedding? Outstanding. She's, she has such a great romantic and soft style and yada, yada, yada. Reinforce their buying decision, because people there's huge value to a wedding couple if they know that you and XYZ have worked together and that you like working together.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
and
a big selling tool.
That's the same thing with venues too. It's like, oh, we love working there. And be honest, if you don't like working there, just be like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Shut up.
Yeah. Don't say like, oh man, that place sucks. Or, oh, we love working there. And don't lie through your teeth. But one of the things that you kind of brought up, oh yeah, we love, I just had coffee with Sabrina, whatever it is. When I'm actually talking about my process with my couples, I will actually bring up those names. So, when I'm working with Christina, the photographer, when I'm working with Christina, one of the things when we're working together, when you talk about that relationship of working together, what you're doing is you're putting them in the moment of what's happening on their wedding day, even though it's not in the moment right now. So they're thinking, flashing forward, oh yeah, my introductions. Oh my gosh, my DJ has already talked to Christina. She's taken care of that and she's done this. And I picture that all in my mind when we sat down to book my DJ. So I think painting the picture with that individual, like using their name is extreme gold. And I think that's important for people to do instead of just say the photographer. They've already told you who the photographer is. So start building that relationship in saying their names in those sentences when you're selling what you do, because now they already have that person. Now they know that they can book you because you know each other and you talk to that person as
exactly
not their profession.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the email here. I can't quite find it, but a number of years ago, after having the agreement sent to a bride and groom, and they sent it back to me, signed, whatever, she made a point in her message to me saying, "It makes us feel so good that all of the people we've hired for a wedding have worked together before." Mm-hmm. And she likely wouldn't have known that had I not pointed that out in our consultation, that, oh yeah, I know so-and-so. Oh, I know so-and-so. And yeah, Katrina and Mandy, we've worked before, and blah, blah, blah. That's huge.
Yeah.
So next up in the consultation.
One of the things that I want to make sure that Carlos understands is Dave and I, yes, we have our processes. Everybody's process is different. And one of the things that I would recommend, Dave has taken this, I've taken this, I would definitely take Vicky and Mitch's workshops, because again, they will help you develop your sales skills that are going to make you good at sales or that first consultation. So again, we can give you tips, but to actually teach you your process, there's nobody better in my mind than what Vicky and Mitch do. They do a phenomenal job, and that's been a huge part of my success in my consultation. So, do we ever mention price? Absolutely. You mentioned price at the end, and you shut up. That's one of the things that Mitch always says. You don't ever say, "Well, here's my price."
Yeah. If
on it, or what? Can I answer something else for you? While you just say, "Here's my price," and let them boil on it. Let them think on it.
Right. Just to give people some idea, when it comes to Vicky, she has a book called Personalities for Business, The Busy Business Owner's Guide to Understanding Personalities. I will say this about that book. If you've not read that book, snap it up. It's a simple, easy, quick read. Here is what I will say. When I walk into a consultation with a couple and she maybe is wearing dark colors, maybe a dark blue shirt, black pants, whatever it might be, my
Sorry. Did I lose you, Dave?
Approach, he walks in with a bright pink purse and a bright yellow shirt and all these types of things. If you don't understand the difference between those two scenarios, go and read Vicky's book, and it will tell you exactly what's going on.
Yeah. One of my DJs, I gave him that book about a week ago, and I said, "Here, go read this. Tell me what color you are."
Gold.
And the reason I did that is because I just want to make sure that, we always talk about, having the right people in the right seats and making sure that they are comfortable in what they're doing in our company. So he's got my book right now, but here's the other ones. Again, if you're looking for some great reading materials, this is Sales for Event Pros by Mitch Taylor.
Yeah.
And then Creative Connections with Mitch and Vicky. I have Mitch's, I don't know how many. I have his training on DVD, CD. I've basically anything that Mitch has put out, anything that Vicky has put out, I've got it.
Nice.
Because again, that truly is some of the most powerful materials. And what happens in your first consultation, if you read those books, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable and a lot more confident going into those meetings.
So true.
Workshop, you will crush it. You will completely crush it. So
true. Okay. So wrapping up the consult. So what else happens? So we've gotten to know them. We've asked all those questions, spent 30-ish minutes on that. Now segueing into asking more specifically about weddings they've been to. Tell me about the greatest wedding you've been to. Tell me about the worst wedding you've been to. And I'll always joke and say, look, I'm not asking you to judge your friends' weddings, but did one make you feel different than another in a really extreme fashion? And they won't always have answers to the negative one, for instance, but
oh my gosh, ours are so much different than that.
Okay, well, sometimes they do, but I'm saying, look, if somebody watching tonight asks that question and they get no reaction, don't be put off yet, because what's going to happen is 10 to 20 minutes later, you're going to say something, and that couple sitting across the table from you is going to go, "Oh, when you asked about a wedding, there was one wedding where what you just said, Dave, there was a thing, blah, blah, blah." Never fails. And those are opportunities for you to find out what their pain points are, as in what are the things that maybe things they want to avoid at their wedding. And you can then provide a solution or discuss how you would help them avoid that pain point. And all of a sudden they start to see you painted in the picture. So along with that part, I will share at that point usually how I got into the work that I'm doing now. I know Mitch preaches that sharing your story is an important component to creating that relationship. I couldn't agree more. That's about where I share, I moved here, I got out of DJing, then I got into DJing, met Brian, MC, blah, blah, blah. People can read that story online if they want, the blog. But yeah, and then from there, we talk about their wedding and I show them my processes and how that's going to go. And yeah, we're 90 minutes in now.
It's funny, Dave, because usually it's like, okay, so tell me about some amazing things, or tell me about some things that you see at weddings in the past that you've really liked. And they're like, "Oh, I like it when the dance floor is packed, and I like when, I don't like when the MC, you can't understand him, or the guy who's making the announcements. They don't even say MC because they don't know what an MC is. I don't like it when the guy, you can't understand him on the microphone. And I was at a wedding and I saw a DJ actually just sitting there the whole time, and he didn't actually even interact with the crowd. And I mean, so you basically ask, and I have to kind of redirect them. I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask about the question, or I'm going to ask what you don't like, but I really want you to focus on the things that you do like. And it's actually really hard for some people to think about. I only think about the negatives because I know what I don't want. And instead of saying, I know this is exactly what I want.
Right.
So I see that a lot. And I mean, maybe, I hope it's not my market, but I think it's just an in general thing where people are, they just, it's like when people get a negative review, it's like it spreads 10 times more than a positive review. And I think that's what happens is people see something negative, and that's what sticks out to them.
Well, and it's also a personality thing too. I mean, Catherine, I love you, dear. I love you so much. Married many years, 2 great kids. But my wife is always the first one to point out what's wrong with an idea or a situation or what didn't work in the past.
That's marriage, Dave. Oh, I mean, you're talking in general. Okay.
But it's very much her personality type too. And I got friends just like that. You're not one of them.
Okay, good.
I'm the opposite extreme. I have actually, Jared, believe it or not, and this might sound silly, but I have a hard time remembering what didn't go right, or what went wrong. I've done a little bit of reading about this, and some people, the highs float to the top of your memory, and with other people, the lows always stay on top.
Yeah.
And so that, you could just be attracting that type of bride.
That's true.
But anyway, that's essentially how a consultation goes for me. Jer, much different for you? Roughly the same?
No, I think, like I said, we've taken the same workshop. We approach, I think, very similar. We have different, I guess, output because I have options where you are the option. So I think some things kind of change a little bit there. And Carlos, I mean, if you have further questions like, hey, I want to learn more about the multi-op process, or I want to learn more about the single op process, you can call Dave, or we'll just talk about it again in a later show.
Exactly. Hey, with a couple of questions in the YouTube feed, just when you have a moment here.
Okay.
We're gonna hit that right now. Okay, one's an easy question. Scott Rousseau says, Dave, it looks really windy where you're sitting right now.
Oh, from your hair?
Thanks, Scott. Love you, brother. Hopefully we see you in Vegas. And somebody else asked, where are we here? He did. DJ Miowski. I don't know what your real name is, my friend, but thanks for being here. He's watching on YouTube. He says, hey, Dave, I'm a Serato user as well. How do you handle doing the coordinating during cocktail hour and dinner while playing the music? I like the auto mix function on Virtual DJ for that. Here we go. Virtual versus Serato. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, it sucks that Serato can't do that. My boys at Serato, if you're listening, it would be nice. Yeah. No, it can't do that.
Wow.
I think it's part of the anti-auto mix DJ culture that exists in part of our world, that they just refuse to put it in.
So do you just use iTunes at that point then, or?
Right, exactly. So to answer your question, DJ Miowski, I create all the lists. I'll create the cocktail dinner hour playlist in Serato, and then I'll simply drag that crate, drop it into iTunes, and just let iTunes manage that part of things for me.
That is so crazy. I never knew that.
Yeah, it's one of the shortcomings of Serato for sure. Serato. But it sucks, but it's what I do. It works.
So Dave, let's tackle the big the title, the content that we're supposed to be providing here tonight. Selling the non-talent. And actually, this was one of the things that, I guess, Carlos, going back to the, how do you go into your consultation? I never sell gear. I never sell how big my speakers are or how bright my lights are. They don't care about that. And one of the things that I really focus on is the experience, but I focus on the results. And to me, that's the important thing. So we were actually talking about this. Dave and I were talking about this with John before the call started. And, here is actually, this is a run sheet for our company. This is a corporate event that we have coming up. Basically, this is what the client sees.
Hold it closer. Hold it closer. Can't see. It's all white.
I don't want to give away all of my information, but
that's what I'm trying to make you do.
No, this is what the client sees, and then this is what my DJs see. So
got it.
This is called our itemized run sheet. So a client will get just the top part. They will just get their items, and then all of the pricing and everything that goes with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll say, for instance, it'll say sealing wash 1. And then down below, it'll say wash effects. So my company or my guys, to do a sealing wash, they know that they need the wash effects to accomplish that result. Now, it's important that you don't sell by the fixture, because if you said, "Oh yeah, we'll do full room sealing wash," and for full room sealing wash, we usually charge $900.
Mm-hmm.
Also, depending on what the venue is. I don't tell them that they're getting 6 fixtures. I don't tell them that they're getting 8 fixtures to create that. Because if they're like, hold on a second, so you're charging me $125 per light. And hey, guys, just so you know, the wash effects, yeah, you can buy those for like 150 or 160 bucks. So yes, I'm paying off my fixtures within one event. But I'm not doing it because I'm selling it by the fixture. I'm doing it because I'm selling the result and the creation of what we do with that light. So it's like you don't go into a consultation like, oh, okay, so what do I get with the Dave Ternier package? Well, you get 1 microphone, you get 1 wireless microphone, you get 2 speakers that are 500 watts a piece at 200 or at 8 ohms. You don't do that. Correct, Dave?
True. This is true. This might come as a shocker to some, but that's 60 to 90 to 120 minute consult. None of the gear I use ever gets mentioned. In fact, I at the end of my pricing sheets, there is a quick sheet that has to do with Dancing on the Cloud, uplighting, and monograms. But I literally glaze over those, and I literally describe them as this. Oh, and at the back, there's a few other options for some, production items, but usually that's a later conversation because I want to book the wedding and then have that conversation later. But it's funny because I've had a couple sometimes email me, in fact, I had a couple, they booked me for their wedding. The wedding was this past summer. They booked me last year. And they ended up sending me an email at one point saying, "Oh, by the way, Dave, do you need us to provide any gear?" And I'm like, whoa, what? I'm like, no, I provide everything. Here are some pictures of what I do, yada, yada, yada. Because I'm like, oh, crap. Anyway, she's like, oh, that's included with what you do. I said, yeah. They're like, oh, sweet. Okay, thanks. You should have asked,
hold on, tell me what you can get.
Yeah. Well, it was an interesting moment for me where I realized, wow, I've really turned a corner in selling the services that I do, the results of what I do. If that's what this couple who just booked me, who just sent me a lot of money, was thinking.
Yeah.
She was sure they would have to spend some money over and above my fee to make sure that I had the adequate PA equipment I needed.
Yeah.
Gear doesn't come up at all. In fact, I'll sometimes ashamedly go, "Oh yeah, by the way, these are the speakers I use. I'll say it during a consult. By the way, this is what it's going to look like on either side of your head table or whatever." And yeah, it's weird. It's just not a topic of conversation.
Yeah. I don't think we ever really bring up gear as well. The only time is when people ask, okay, well, what comes with the package? You're like, oh, okay. So you're talking like the audio and the lighting. Yeah. Okay. Well, then I'll talk a little bit about it, but I don't tell them. They don't need to know brand. They don't need to know how loud they are. They don't care about that stuff. Because again, if you've showed how much you've cared about them in that entire consultation, they know you're going to show up with the right gear. They know you're going to show up with the right size speakers, the right size everything, and the talent that you bring. And to me, I think that's the most important thing is going in to their event and them knowing that they've made the right decision because
right. I watching a few of the comments. Chris Grabe on Facebook says, "Dave, it's time for you to go out with a rider now." Thanks, buddy. Yeah.
Hey, do you know where the whole green M&Ms thing came from?
One of the big rock bands. I forget now who.
Van Halen.
Yes, that's who it was. And didn't they once cancel a show because they found?
I don't know.
Yeah, they. How the hell did that work? That was Van Halen, though. You're right.
Yeah, I think is it in Mike Walter's History of Music? I think, gosh, for some reason I think that's where I heard it from. But anyways, they put green M&Ms on their rider, and they knew that if they showed up and they didn't have green M&Ms in their dressing room, that whoever did their rider count didn't actually read the rider. And so that's why the whole green M&Ms things comes up, because they wanted to make sure that their stuff got noticed in the rider. So if they needed a guitar holder, if they needed a certain,
well, and there was a safety element too, right? Because if they missed that one line, might they have missed the weight rating that needed to be on that overhead truss and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So gear or talent, I think most know my answer to that. Your answer is the same. And Jared, this is something that I'm surprised more multi-op companies aren't reaching out to you for first-hand advice on, because I know one of the conversations I struggle to have, and I noticed this out in Ontario when I was out there last week, was, a lot of multi-ops kind of saying, Dave, you're a single op. I have to do things differently. I can't do things like that. And I'm like, well, you know what? I don't know. I got a couple of friends who seem to be really creating a unique hybrid out of, I don't want to call it high end. I want to say respectably being paid service and being able to do it with multiple employees. Jer, how can you speak to this? One of the conversations that I find myself running into a lot, and again, I'm slightly unqualified to have it with people, is multi-op companies saying, Dave, I can't sell myself at a different price. I cannot treat me different than any of my employees, because then it's going to look like I'm making them worth less. Now, I have all kinds of ideas about how they should approach that, but again, I'm not overly qualified. So what would your response to that be? And respectfully, because people just don't know.
Dave, we don't have another hour to go here. We have reached we're actually like 3 minutes over.
No, John started us late. He went along with MJ in the last hour.
Well, and then I got all caught up in who I was trying to think of and what I was trying to say. And no, this is actually a very interesting topic. Because to me, there are some amazing entertainers out there that are going out for the same price as what their regular talent is. And if they're like, well, my regular talent, they're really good. My guys are really good. And I'm thinking, okay, then you need to charge more. Mm-hmm. To me, I can't wrap my head around going out for the same price as the people that I am teaching. And the reason I say that is, I know my guys go out there and they perform, they entertain to the best of their knowledge, but they don't have the same heart that I do. They don't have the same commitment that I do, because this is my baby. This is how I feed my family. And I go out there and I exceed the expectation. And I know my guys go out there and they do a fantastic job. But again, I think this is a conversation that I would like to maybe put on our list to bring up.
Yeah. Okay.
I think this goes really deep. I think there's a lot of variables, and I know people are like, well, we're just so saturated. I'm in a small market compared to some of these other people. Mitch Taylor is in a small market, and look, he's getting premium way over what his other employees are going out for. Yeah. And his other employees are still making really good dollar. They're doing really good over there. So again, I think this is a very deep conversation that we can probably table.
Okay, tell you what, let's put this out there then. So for anybody watching who might be really interested in this topic, send me, not Jer.
I don't even know where you guys are messaging from. So.
Send me your questions. Find me online, whether it's on Facebook or at djthought.com or whatever. Send me the questions, because this is probably going to be an episode where I'm simply quizzing Jeremy on it. I'm going to pretend to be that multi-op that doesn't have a voice with you directly right now, Jeremy, like I get to have every Wednesday. And we're going to go down this road because I think it would be really valuable to a lot of people.
I think you might have a lot more to input than you think. So, like I said, I think this is going to be a good conversation. I'm looking forward to this.
John, I hope you're listening, because there's your topic for next week. Okay, well, this is good. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Sorry I had to miss last week, but Jared, thanks for still being here.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. John did a fabulous job trying to be Canadian, so it was good.
Okay, thanks so much, everyone. Dave here.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
Bye-bye.